will write,
yazacak,
do you feel, emotionally,
duygulanarak,
was your grandfather an artist, is your grandfather an artist,
deden sanatçı mı,
won't we know,
bilmeyecek miyiz,
was my grandfather a guard, does my grandfather keep guard,
dedem gardiyan devam mı ediyor,
his stepson was a monk, his stepson was a monk,
üvey oğlu keşişti,
you should sell,
satmalısın,
shouldn't we be hydrologists last year, shouldn't we be hydrologists last year,
geçen sene hidrolog olmamıza gerek yok mu,
can't fly,
uçamaz mı,
they are the rule,
onlar kuraldır,
you cannot meet,
görüşemezsin,
is her neighbor a choreographer, is her neighbor a choreographer,
komşusu koreograf mı,
should he write,
yazmalı mı,
were his grandchildren weathermen, are we going to use grandchildren as weather presenters,
torunları hava durumu sunucusu olarak mı kullanacağız,
doesn't it quote after 5 seconds, doesn't it quote after 5 seconds,
5 saniye sonra alıntı yapmıyor mu,
his brothers were musicians, male organs were musicians,
erkek organları müzisyendi,
did not stay often,
sık kalamadı,
his half-sisters were messengers, his half-sisters were messengers,
üvey kız kardeşleri haberciydi,
is her stepdad a gardener, is her stepdad a gardener,
üvey babası bahçıvan mı,
was to do,
yapmaktı,
is your grandchild a manager, is your grandchild a manager,
torununuz yönetici mi,
were their cousins taxi drivers, were his cousins taxi drivers,
kuzenleri taksi şoförü müydü,
you won't be a cleaner every week, you won't be a cleaner every week,
her hafta temizlikçi olmayacaksın,
were we neurologists at 2 o'clock the night before, do you become a neurologist at 2 o'clock the night before,
önceki akşam 2'de nörolog oluyor musunuz,
can I travel,
seyahat edebilir miyim,
it wasn't Potter 3 the previous morning, it wasn't Potter 3 the previous morning,
önceki sabah çömlekçi 3 değildi,
they should not act earlier, they should not act earlier,
daha erken işlem yapmamalıdırlar,
I have to connect at noon, I'm connected at noon,
öğlen bağlantılıyım,
you may not die occasionally, you may not die occasionally,
ara sıra ölmeyebilirsiniz,
is your friend a shipper, is your friend a shipper,
arkadaşın nakliyeci mi,
your cousins are baristas, your cousins are baristas,
kuzenleriniz barista,
my son was a hydrologist, was a hydrologist,
hidrologdu,
didn't they see you soon, didn't they see you soon,
yakında görmediler mi,
I normally juggle, uses normal juggling,
normal hokkabazlık kullanır,
there has been an increase, it was love,
aşk oldu,
are our children assistants, are our children assistants,
çocuklarımız asistan mı,
we were butchers right away, we were butchers right away,
hemen kasap olduk,
shouldn't it always fly, shouldn't it always fly,
her zaman uçması gerekmiyor mu,
don't you have to give permission, don't you have to give permission,
izin vermen gerekmiyor mu,
didn't they collect it later, didn't they collect,
toplamadılar mı,
we couldn't answer, we couldn't answer,
cevap veremedik,
should I appeal later, objection later,
daha sonra itiraz etmeyi mi,
was her niece an actress, nephew cast,
yeğeni oyuncu kadrosu,
was flying,
uçuyordu,
Sometimes we couldn't meet. Sometimes we couldn't meet.
Bazen görüşemezdik.
Does not appear. Wash.
Yıkamak.
Is your neighbor an actuary? Is your neighbor an actuary?
Komşunuz aktüer mi?
His stepdaughters were housewives. His stepdaughters were housewives.
Üvey kızları ev hanımıydı.
Did I call 10 years? Decade meeting?
10 yılı toplantısı mı?
Did he mention last year? Did we talk about past lives?
Geçen yaşamları konuştuk mu?
Can't I save? Can't I save?
Kurtaramaz mıyım?
He was never a sculptor. He was never a sculptor.
Hiçbir zaman heykeltıraş olmadı.
Won't we know? Won't we know?
Bilmeyecek miyiz?
Then I can analyze. Then you can analyze.
O zaman analiz edebilir.
Was it a deal? Agree?
Anlaşmak.
His stepson was a monk. His stepson was a monk.
Üvey oğlu keşişti.
Can you appear? Can you appear?
Görünebilir misin?
Can't I settle in? Can't I settle in?
Yerleşemez miyim?
He introduces. He introduces.
O tanıştırıyor.
You remember 2 weeks. You remember 2 weeks.
2 haftayı hatırlarsın.
We cannot deny. We cannot deny.
İnkar edemeyiz.
You can't fish often. You can't fish often.
Sık sık balık tutamazsınız.
Annual astronomer, right? Annual astronomy, right?
Yıllık astronomi değil mi?
Are they commanding after 4 centuries? Are they commanding after 4 centuries?
4 asır sonra mı komuta ediyorlar?
Is her grandmother a contractor? Is her grandmother a contractor?
Büyükannesi müteahhit mi?
Should not be supported. Should not be supported.
Desteklememesi gerekir.
Cannot visit every year. Can't visit him year after year.
Onu yıl ziyaret edemez.
Then they must be negotiators. Then they must be negotiators.
O zaman müzakereci olmalılar.
Friend stewardess. Friend stewardess.
Arkadaşı hostes.
It is different. It is different.
O ayrı.
It wasn't like. It wasn't like.
Gibi değildi.
Should it break? Should it break?
Kırmalı mı?
Our brother is an apprentice. Our brother is an apprentice.
Kardeşimiz çırak.
My father was a lawyer. My father was a lawyer.
Babam avukattı.
Cannot normally decrease. Cannot normally decrease.
Normal olarak azaltamaz.
Do you not recommend after 4 months? Do you not recommend after 4 months? Sometimes he didn't win. Sometimes he didn't win.
Bazen kazanmıyordu.
Was your wife a sailor? Is your spouse a maritime piracy?
Eşiniz denizci korsanlığı mı?
Would it have passed? Will you pass?
Geçmiş olur musun?
Your grandmother was an inspector. Grandma was an inspector.
Büyükanne müfettişti.
I can't advertise after 4 minutes. I can't advertise after 4 minutes.
4 dakika sonra reklam yapamam.
Is my mother-in-law an actress? Is my mother-in-law an actress?
Kayınvalidem oyuncu mu?
Then at 3 in the morning we can get hurt. Then at 3 in the morning we can get hurt.
Daha sonra sabah 3'te canımız yanabilir.
Stepdaughter's race car driver. Race car driver who can step by step.
Üvey yapabileceği yarış arabası sürücüsü.
It wouldn't last year. It wouldn't last year.
Geçen yıl kaldırmazdı.
He wouldn't complain. He wouldn't complain.
Şikayet etmezdi.
A year later he would become a politician. After a year it will be protective.
1 yıl sonra koruyucu olacak.
Should it change in general? Should he play?
Oynamalı mı?
We should not paint. We have to paint.
Boyama yapmalıyız.
Isn't it hate? Isn't it hate?
Nefret değil mi?
Does not shake at dawn. Does not shake at dawn.
Şafak vakti sallanmıyor.
Was our grandmother a tailor? Our grandmother is a tailor?
Annemiz terzi.
Their cousin is the air traffic controller. Their cousin is the air traffic controller.
Kuzenleri hava trafik kontrolörü.
Her husband was a sculptor. Husband sculpted.
Koca heykeltıraştı.
He wasn't a filmmaker at noon. We're not noon filmmakers.
Öğle vakti film yapımcıları değildi.
Should it be voiced? Should it be voiced?
Seslendirmeli mi?
It can be stored after 3 days. It can be stored after 3 days.
3 gün sonra saklanabilir.
It can wait. It can wait.
Bekleyebilir.
Can we go? Can we go?
Gidebilir miyiz?
Was your daughter a publisher? Is your daughter a publisher?
Kızınız yayıncı mı?
Should I go to the undertaker now? Should we go to the undertaker now?
Şimdi cenazeciye gitmeli miyiz?
Couldn't he get? Can't they?
Alamazlar.
Are we monthly? Did we set it monthly?
Aylık mı ayarladık?
10 years can be a sailor. 10 years can be a sailor.
10 yıl denizci olabilir.
Then at 4 a.m. you will clean up. Then at 4 a.m. you will clean up.
Daha sonra sabah 4'te temizlik yapacaksın.
They cannot tell. They can't tell.
Söyleyemiyorlar.
I couldn't deal. I couldn't deal.
Uğraşamadım.
Can't we visit in 3 seconds? Can we visit in 3 seconds?
3 saniye sonra ziyaret edebilir miyiz?
You can go. You can be.
Olabilirsin.
Did they lie at night? Did he lie at night?
Gece vakti yalan mı söyledi?
Shouldn't it be supported after 1 week? Shouldn't there be support after 1 week?
Bir hafta sonra destek olması gerekmiyor mu?
Won't it take off at dawn? Won't it take off at dawn?
Şafakta çıkarmayacak mı?
I can't advertise after 4 minutes. I can't advertise after 4 minutes.
4 dakika sonra reklam yapamam.
Doesn't he recommend? Doesn't he recommend?
Önermiyor mu?
Were you invisible in the twilight? Are you hidden in the twilight?
Alacakaranlıkta gizlin mi?
Isn't he alive? Isn't it surviving?
Hayatta kalmak değil mi?
May ask next year. I can inquire next year.
Gelecek yıl sorgulayabilirim.
Can you evaluate every day? Can you evaluate every day?
Her gün değerlendirebilir mi?
His grandchildren are truck drivers. His grandchildren are truck drivers.
Torunları kamyon şoförüdür.
Were you the manager then? Were you the manager then?
Müdür müydün o zaman?
Are their grandparents ambassadors? Are their grandparents ambassadors?
Büyükanne ve büyükbabaları büyükelçi mi?
Is his son a travel agent? Is his son a travel agent?
Oğlu seyahat acentesi mi?
It can wait. It can wait.
Bekleyebilir.
Can't you warn? Can't you warn?
Uyaramaz mısın?
Your half-brother is a professor. Your half-brother is a professor.
Üvey kardeşin profesör.
Your grandma is a grocer. Grandma grocer.
Büyükanne bakkal.
Won't he thank you? Won't I thank you?
Teşekkür etmeyeceğim mi?
Shouldn't they be suppressed now? Shouldn't they be suppressed now?
Şimdi bastırmaları gerekmez mi?
They would listen. Listen.
Dinledi.
He wouldn't see it in 4 weeks. He wouldn't be able to see after 4 weeks.
4 hafta sonra göremeyecekti.
We should suggest the afternoon. We should propose after weeks.
Haftalardan sonra önermeliyiz.
Were his grandparents salesmen? Grandparents are sellers?
Dedeleri satıcılar.
He was occasionally arrested. He was occasionally arrested.
Ara ara tutuklanıyordu.
He was an anthropologist at the time. He was an anthropologist at the time.
O zamanlar antropologdu.
He was never a sculptor. He was never a sculptor.
Hiçbir zaman heykeltıraş olmadı.
Would it bring an annual yield?
Yıllık getirir.
Then at 4 a.m. you will clean up. Then at 4 a.m. you will clean up.
Daha sonra sabah 4'te temizlik yapacaksın.
You should sell. You should sell.
Satmalısın.
Did they not exercise? Did they not exercise?
Egzersiz yapmıyorlar mı?
We don't do weekly comparisons. We don't do weekly comparisons.
Haftalık karşılaştırma yapmıyoruz.
Can we add? Should we use?
Kullanmalı mıyız?
His nephews were contractors. His nephews were contractors.
Yeğenleri müteahhitti.
After that notary 3 weekend. Note after 3 weeks.
3 hafta sonu sonra not edin.
Is to take care of. Is to take care of.
İlgilenmek içindir.
Were their children lawyers? Are their kids with their lawyers?
Çocukları avukatları yanında mı?
His daughter was a gymnast. His daughter was a gymnast.
Kızı jimnastikçiydi.
Does not continue. Does not continue.
Devam etmiyor.
Do they judge at sunset? Do they judge at sunset?
Gün batımında mı yargılıyorlar?
They have to negotiate after a century. They have to negotiate after a century.
Bir asır sonra müzakere etmek zorundadırlar.
Is his friend a golfer? Is his friend a golfer?
Arkadaşı golfçü mü?
Shouldn't they match? Are they handsome?
Yakışmalılar mı?
Was our stepdaughter a coach? Could our stepdaughter be a coach?
Üvey kızımız koç olabilir mi?
Can't I teach after 5 weeks? Can't I teach after 5 weeks?
5 hafta sonra ders veremez miyim?
Must hate the moon. The moon must be hated.
Aydan nefret edilmeli.
We wouldn't start. We wouldn't start.
Başlamazdık.
Generally environmentally friendly. Generally environmentally friendly.
Genellikle çevrecidir.
Can it renew 2 weeks? Can it renew 2 weeks?
2 haftayı yenileyebilir mi?
Is her stepdaughter a potter? Is her stepdaughter a potter?
Üvey kızı çömlekçi mi?
Isn't he alive? Isn't it surviving?
Hayatta kalmak değil mi?
Can you send it after 3 in the morning? Can you send it after 3 in the morning?
Sabah 3'ü sonra gönderebilir misin?
I shouldn't draw. I have to draw.
Çizmeliyim.
It can kill. It can kill.
Öldürebilir.
I couldn't meet. I couldn't meet.
Görüşemedim.
It can wait at noon. It can wait at noon.
Öğlen bekleyebilir.
Can you cook? Can he eat wrong?
Yanlış yemek yiyebilir mi?
Did you fall? Did you fall?
Düştün mü?
Was your father a manager? Was your father a manager?
Baban müdür müydü?
Can we normally be a mechanic? Can we be a visual mechanic?
Görsel olarak tamirci olabilir miyiz?
We shouldn't be mining at 1 a.m. We shouldn't be mining at 1 a.m.
Gece yarısı 1'de madencilik yapmamalıyız.
After 5 nights they are not salesmen. After 5 nights they are not salesmen.
5 gece sonra satıcı değiller mi?
Can't you be a fireman then? Can't you be a fireman then?
O zaman itfaiyeci olamaz mısın?
Can't they force? Can't they force?
Zorlayamazlar mı?
I wouldn't call. I wouldn't call.
Aramazdım.
His brother was a baker. His brother was a baker.
Kardeş fırıncıydı.
May I be interested? May I be interested?
İlgilenebilir miyim?
Was it 5 inspectors the previous morning? 5 inspectors circular the previous morning.
Önceki sabah 5 müfettiş genelgesi.
Become botanists bi-weekly. Become botanists bi-weekly.
2 haftada bir botanikçi olduk mu?
Were our parents writers? Are our parents far-reaching?
Anne babamız geniş kapsamlı mı?
Your husband is an artist. Husband artist.
Koca sanatçı.
Are their grandchildren announcers? Are his grandchildren spikers?
Torunları smaçör mü?
We're not going to be weather presenters at 2 p.m. You don't make a weather server at 2 a.m. at midnight.
Gece yarısında 2'de hava durumu sunucusu yapmazsınız.
We always run away. We always run away.
Hep kaçarız.
They were not brewers every year. They were not brewers every year.
Her yıl bira üreticisi değillerdi.
Can they be night watchmen at noon? Can they be night watchmen at noon?
Öğle vakti gece bekçisi olabilirler mi?
Was he never a miner? Was he never a miner?
O asla madenci değil mi?
Should it break? Should it break?
Kırmalı mı?
Can we be suspicious at sunrise? Can we be suspicious at sunrise?
Gün doğarken şüphelenebilir miyiz?
You won't be a cleaner every week. You won't be a cleaner every week.
Her hafta temizlikçi olmayacaksın.
Were his colleagues landscape architects? Colleagues landscape architect?
Meslektaşları peyzaj mimarı.
He does not create. He does not create.
O yaratmaz.
After 5 nights we won't care. After 5 nights we won't care.
5 gece sonra umursamayacağız.
Can he draw in an hour? Can he draw in an hour?
1 saat sonra çizebilir mi?
They were drinking. They were drinking.
İçki içiyorlardı.
His parents were advertisers. Your parents were advertisers.
Ebeveynlerin reklamcıydı.
Wouldn't it be an investment at dawn? No investment at dawn?
Şafakta yatırım olmaz mı?
His half-sister was an electrician. His half-sister was an electrician.
Üvey kız kardeşi elektrikçiydi.
I didn't do the weekly courier. I couldn't do a weekly courier.
Haftalık kurye yapamadım.
Do you have to be a plumber after 5 days? Do you have to be a plumber after 5 days?
5 gün sonra tesisatçı olması gerekir mi?
My husband is a stewardess. My husband is a stewardess.
Kocam hostes.